MasterTask Training presents Mastering CNC Machining Centers, a complete simulation-based solution. Trying to provide skilled CNC machinists for your local manufacturing plants has never been easy. Most shops have a number of brands of CNC equipment with a variety of CNC controls. They use a mixture of programming techniques, including both G&M code, macros, and conversational. Some just want machinery operators, while others want their people to be able to write and edit programs. And your job doesn't get any easier when they send you students that range from those with little experience to those with years on the job. The MasterTask multimedia courseware gives you the ability to overcome these problems more effectively and more easily than ever before. It combines DVD instruction, CD-ROM testing with job task simulation, and a powerful computer-based course management system to help you meet the challenges of today's demanding manufacturing climate. This program is produced by the MasterTask Training Systems Division of VTIP Incorporated. VTIP, which stands for Vocational Technical Instructional Programs, has been the leading developer of performance-based training systems for manufacturing since 1967. The 24-lesson Mastering CNC Machining Center program is divided into a series of 5 levels. Within each level, you'll find 4 to 6 lessons. Each of the 5 levels advance the skill of the individual from machine tender in Course 1 to a C or B level operator in Course 2, to an A level operator in Course 3, and into basic setup in Course 4 and advanced setup and editing skills in Course 5. Each lesson includes professional instruction on DVD, worksheet tests found in student guide manuals, and CD-ROM based testing and simulation. These state-of-the-art interactive tests provide a potent tool for attracting manufacturing clients to your classes and enhancing the learning experience of your students. As an instructor, you'll find this package gives you the tools you need. The easy-to-use instructional DVDs, along with the automatic grading and record-keeping and its modular construction, allow a freedom and flexibility not previously available in courseware of this type. How will this series of courses help you reach your goals? First, you'll be able to increase the scope of your courses by covering more of the brands and models of CNC equipment actually in use in your area. Second, you'll increase the depth of your offerings by providing more comprehensive instruction in the knowledges and skills needed by CNC machinists, including topics such as conversational programming. And third, you'll increase the effectiveness of your courses with realistic computer simulations of the actual procedures. It appeals to today's students seeking a more interactive and learner-controlled medium. Let's see exactly how the features of this course meet those goals. Increasing the scope of your courses. Because the CNC controller is the primary interface between the operator and the machine, each lesson correlates all job tasks to the selections made from the 20 models of CNC controls covered. These include the most common models of FANUC, GE FANUC, or General Numeric Controls. Under the heading of the FANUC 0 series, the 0, 16, 18, 21, and 30 series models are covered. The Haas controls covered include the common models used on machining centers. The Akuma controls include the OSP 5000 series, OSP 7000, the U, E, and P series found on the latest machinery. Mazak controls include the earliest T and M1 through 4 models, as well as the T and M32, the Plus series, Fusion 640, and Matrix controls. It is estimated that 80 to 90% of the CNC machining centers in use currently are covered. A menu appears on the DVD allowing the instructor to select which control type they wish to concentrate on for the classroom presentation. In self-study environments, students will select the CNC control type they must learn for their job requirements from the menu. A lesson typically begins by explaining a basic principle of CNC operation, an adjustment or setup task. It then goes on to show how the tasks are performed on the model of CNC controls selected. The topics covered reflect years of research into the needs of CNC operators in manufacturing shops around the country. Firms using these programs include Boeing, John Deere, Caterpillar, Lockheed, and many others. Hundreds of technical schools and colleges use the courseware within their programs. These courses provide a straightforward teaching approach, first allowing your students to thoroughly understand the basic principles involved in each topic area, then allowing them to see how those principles are typically applied within the brands and models covered using simulations of the process. But what about those shops that use brands of equipment not shown in these courses? Results prove that after seeing the wide range of controls covered in these materials, your students will be able to handle virtually any brand of equipment, even those not specifically shown in the course, increasing the depth of your courses. The 24 lessons in the Machining Center's course allow your students to advance from machine operator to skilled setup person to setup programmer, all within a logical and easy-to-follow progression. Instructors have the resources and flexibility they need to satisfy a much greater diversity of students, no matter what type of control they have in the lab or the skill level students need to achieve. By using DVD-based instruction, student guide tests, and the CD-ROM simulations, you'll provide enough variety to meet the needs of just about any learning style. Plus, the computerized simulations let you provide experience on a variety of controls without the expense of adding machinery to your teaching lab.
The tool is shown at the correct location.
One of the major features of this program is the coverage of conversational part programming methods. As CNC controls have become more powerful, they have added a simpler approach to programming called conversational programming. To be prepared for the future, your students must, therefore, be able to understand and work with this new approach. In some plants, operators use conversational programming to write many of their own part programs. In addition, many shops own equipment that have both EIA and conversational programming capability built into them. Yet some do not take advantage of these more powerful features because of a lack of adequately trained personnel. MasterTask programs will enable your manufacturing clients to receive the full potential from the machinery investment. Since programming with EIA codes is still the most widely used technique on machining centers, each course covers every aspect of this common G and M code programming approach. In fact, even students who will be operating equipment using a conversational language will find it necessary to understand and use EIA programming for certain tasks. Offering the power of computer simulation, you know how expensive damaged machines and broken cutting tools can be, and how a simple mistake by a student can put your lab equipment out of operation for weeks or months. The simulations provided on these CD-ROMs can give your students the chance to experience both success and failure. These powerful computer simulations closely duplicate the tasks your students will be performing on the actual brands and models of CNC machining centers they'll find in the real world. Your students will be required to display and read various computer screens, locate critical information in part programs, calculate and enter corrections to solve problems, and even jog tools by interacting with the simulated machine controls that match those on their machines. The professionally produced video in each lesson couples scenes of actual in-plant machining operations with highly effective computer-generated animations. Students quickly grasp even the most difficult concepts of computer-controlled machining. The learning sequence. The course outline for the program lists the content of each lesson and the reasoning behind the instructional sequence. Your class might typically begin by showing one of the lesson DVDs, which average 25 minutes in length. Video-based instruction gives you the flexibility to offer either a formal classroom setting or a more learner-controlled approach which may appeal to adults. Each DVD is divided into a number of parts based on the topics being covered and the control-specific sections. After playing part 1 of a lesson, you can stop the instruction and use the student guide questions to lead a group discussion. Or the student guide worksheets can be simply used as a knowledge test. Each group of questions in the student guide test is keyed to a part number within the lesson video. For example, the student guide test for lesson 2 of course 3 indicates questions 1 to 23 are from part 1 of the lesson video. The answers to each student guide question are provided in the instructor's guide. This answer guide also indicates the source of the questions. Once all of the lesson video has been viewed and the student guide questions answered, students can be allowed to take the CD-ROM test individually. Your instructor's guide also contains answers to all of the CD-ROM questions. You can quickly locate the source of the answer to a question by using the scene number alongside the question. For example, this question is linked to scene 13. By turning to Course 1 in the instructor's guide, the video narration script for the lesson and scene number 1 through 23 are easily located. These powerful tools will enable you to provide individual assistance to students by using the links between the student guide questions, CD-ROM test items, and the instructional videos. The Class Management System. The Mastering CNC Machining Center course includes 5 CD-ROMs, one for each level in the course. When you organize a class, you simply register your students using the class management software. The management system will allow student records to be kept on either a network server, a local hard drive, or on a portable media. Up to 10 classes of 50 students each can be registered in each of the 5 classes. The instructor for each class will have a password to allow access to the records for just his students. Within each CD-ROM test, questions are divided into 2 categories: general topic questions and control-specific questions. General topic questions, which represent the majority of questions found on the CD-ROMs, are required to be completed by all students. The selection of the CNC control type during student registration determines which specific questions will appear. For example, if a student operated a machine with the Mazak control, setting the control-specific category to the FANUC series will cause the computer to present additional questions covering specific information presented in the instruction on that control. Since only the Mazak control was selected, none of the control-specific questions on the other FANUC, Haas, or Akuma controls would be presented to the student. As a student progresses through the interactive test, their computerized record will indicate which questions they missed, their percentage grade, and the time they needed to complete the test. This record can be printed out or viewed on the screen by the instructor or administrator. Once a class is finished, student records can be exported from the training system. Now, those student names can be deleted from the course and the next class entered. A typical interactive test. A tutorial on the CD-ROM provides students with an introduction to all aspects of the computer testing and simulation process. They'll be able to try out the controls available on the test screens and sample the various types of interactive questions. Clicking on any of the question types listed displays an example of that question. During the tutorial, a Show Answer button is provided to make answering the example questions easier. To begin a test, the student simply selects their class and clicks the Take a Test button. After selecting their name from the class list, they will enter their personal password and the test will begin. Because some people may have poor English comprehension skills, each test question is provided both orally and in text form at the bottom of the screen. To hear a question again, the Repeat Audio button is clicked with the mouse. Based on how the question is answered, the computer provides either the correct or incorrect feedback.
The origin of a coordinate grid is the intersection.
The Review button in the lower right portion of the screen allows a student to scan back and forth through the questions which have already been answered. Students find this especially useful when a question is incorrectly answered and they wish to return to see how they made their mistake. The Resume Test button returns them to the point at which they stopped and continues the testing process. As a student progresses through a test, the status area indicates the current course, lesson, and question number on the left, while the number of correct, incorrect, and remaining questions appear in the column on the right. The message box reveals what action to take at any point in the test. This is the prompt box. When the mouse cursor is moved over a button or response area on the screen, the prompt box indicates the purpose for that function. This is especially useful for new people or those that have not had recent experience with the courseware. The Exit button allows the person to stop the test at any time. When this occurs, the computer updates the individual's file on the computer and displays a report for the student. This report indicates how many minutes they spent on the test, how many test items were right and wrong, and the remaining unanswered questions. When the person returns to this test, they will be asked those questions they missed on their previous attempt, as well as any remaining questions. Using the course management system, an instructor can scroll through a student's report to see how often they attempted a test, how much time they took, the questions they missed, and so on for each attempt. Other management functions available include adding and deleting students, changing passwords, and creating reports for either individual students or for the entire class. To keep the testing process interesting and challenging, 8 types of interactive questions are used. Question types are chosen for their ability to closely simulate the skills required of individuals when performing the task on a CNC machine. The question types include single-click, multi-click, list selections, number and order, sequence, keypad, drag object, and procedural. Single-click and multi-click questions might require the person to click on a control panel button or use the correct soft key. Other click questions might require the person to locate a specific code within a part program. List selection questions test the retention of information in a manner similar to multiple choice questions. Number and order questions require the student to remember the sequence in which certain steps are performed to complete a task. Sequence questions require the steps of a task to be performed in a simulation. As each step is completed, it is listed to indicate the student's progress within the complete sequence. Keypad questions often require students to determine a corrective value and enter it using a simulated MDI keypad. In other keypad questions, the correct G or M code must be entered. Drag object questions require the person to place an object at the correct location on the screen. Procedural questions require students to perform a number of steps within a single question. This completes the general description of this course and the interactive testing elements. Stand by for Part 2, which will show you samples taken from the lessons within the program. Once you've seen a video segment from the sample DVD, you can try out the interactive questions that cover the portion of the instruction on the CD-ROM sample you received.